Yes, it's John G. Sutton. Tales from the Jails. I'm doing this broadcast today about the IRA and the protest that they made about political status. And it was in late 1975. I believe it was the 15th of November 1975 at Wormwood Scrubs. Now, the story starts round about September of 75 when I was working as a discipline officer at Wormwood Scrubs, and I was sent by the head of security of Wormwood Scrubs to search cells on D Wing in the Scrubs. And I was given a list of cells, inmates' names, told to go and search these cells and to report back. There was myself and another officer. So I get to D Wing and I went to see the principal officer in charge of D Wing and told him I'd been sent by the security staff and I had 2 cells to search on D Wing, and could he please advise me where the inmates were, assuming that they weren't in the cells, because they went out at the cells mainly in D Wing. And the principal officer said, you don't need to do this. He said, to go and have a sit down in our canteen there. They'll give you a cup of coffee and there's a couple of newspapers in there from today. You can have a read of them. Just take your time, come back with your book, I'll sign it, you've done your search. I said, don't work like that, does it? I've been sent here by the head of security for the prison to search these cells, and that's what I'm going to do. So I decided as he wasn't going to help me, I would go and find the prisoner myself. So I made inquiries and found that one of the inmates, I think it was on D3 landing, he was not in his cell, but he was at a Spanish lesson, learning Spanish. So I went into the classroom where he was learning Spanish with about half a dozen others, and the teacher was there, lady teacher teaching them Spanish. And of course I said, called out his name. I said, you come with me, it's cell search. No, I said, I'm not going. He said, I'm in the lessons, Spanish lesson, Spanish language, I'm learning that. I'm not going for my cell search. I said, I'm not asking you, I am actually telling you that you're going for your cell search, so come with me. And he refused, so I used a little bit of force on him, like taking hold of his arm and pushing it up his back whilst gripping the other side of his collar, so that he was frog marched out of the classroom along D3 landing to his cell. Well, as I was taking him along D3 landing, he started screaming and shouting, and no sooner had he done this than 2 or 3 members of staff, 3 members of staff I think it was, come charging up and started shouting at me, let him go, get off him, let him go. I said, no, I'm going to search his cell. No, you're not. The principal officer turned up and said, what's going on? I said, he refused to come out of his lesson, so I've brought him out and I'm going to search his cell now. He said, no, you're not, you get off D-Wing. And they threw me off D-Wing, ordered me out of D-Wing. So I made a report of this, wrote it all down, and went to see the head of security for Wormwood Scrubs prison, told him that I'd been prevented from searching the cells by the principal officer and members of his staff who had ordered me off the wing. Oh, he said, forget about that. He said, just go and search some of the other cells then. Is that it? Is that it? Is that all you're going to do? Anyway, it subsequently transpired about 4 or 5 weeks later that particular inmate was part of the IRA that went up onto the roof of Wormwood Scrubs, and below you'll see that I attach a link. You can actually see the prisoners up on the roof of Wormwood Scrubs. and one of them, I think his name was Walsh. He was the inmate that I was supposed to be searching his cell. They got fake uniforms on, and they were parading around with the tricolour and generally making a damn nuisance of themselves. But they had all this equipment that they'd taken up on the roof, stashed in their cells, you see. And if I had searched their cells, which I was intending to do before I was prevented by the wing principal officer, then I would have discovered this, because I would have searched the cells properly, and if there was anything in there that was that was illegal, I would have taken it and charged the inmate accordingly. But I was prevented from doing. Now, makes me wonder, did the principal officer know that this was going to happen? Were they expecting this? Very strange. But you look at the video below, you'll see the inmates up on the roof of Wormwood Scrubs. I eventually was part of the team that went into the loft space with a big pickaxe handle, and we were banging on the roof and telling them to get down, as we were going to give them a welcome home party, a welcome back to prison. But the governors came in, and they demanded that the board of visitors from the prison come in, and it didn't. In the end, they agreed to come down off the roof, but they wouldn't. They refused to wear HM prison issue clothing, so they ripped off all their fake uniform and got themselves naked on the D1 landing, and they offered them a blanket, and they said, right, we'll put the blanket round us, because it was bloody freezing. And they said, well, you do realise it's got HMP stamped on it, this blanket. So they threw the blankets down and walked, the IRA walked, stark bollock naked, all the way across the prison to the segregation unit on air wing. Happy days, eh? But if they'd actually let me search the cell, that wouldn't have happened, because I would have uncovered the materials that they used in getting themselves up on the roof, and the fake uniforms and the berets and all that. So there we have it. Right, so have a look at that video. I'll put the link on here down below. Yeah, it says click here video. Alright, watch, have a look at that. That's the IRA on the roof, 1975. Yes, it's the song dinger, but it's not a song, it's a poem. Now, this poem I wrote when I was working with the library service. I used to go around public libraries and lecture for the school children. I used to bring school children out, because I'd written a series of books for first one was for Bloomsbury. That was Psychic Pets. That got Book of the Year in the, I think it's the Times Red House Book Club or something. Anyway, and then I wrote a series of books for Element Penguin, children's books. And so I got contacted by the library service asking me if I'd do a series of talks in libraries. So I thought I'll have a little poem, yeah, that I'll write a poem for the children, just to entertain them, you know, a little comedy type poem. And this is the poem I wrote. And it had, let me tell you this, a disastrous effect. I only ever read it once, because the children didn't get the joke. Some of them started crying. Anyway, I obviously hadn't thought that one through. So this is my poem. It's called My Granny's Last Gift, by John G. Sutton. My granny passed away last year. At the time, I felt right sad. She'd always been a proper pal. Just to see her made me glad. I shan't forget her happy smile, her open, friendly grin. And all my friends, they liked her too. When she passed, it did me in. I won't forget her funeral. Half the town came out and cried. The church was full, and people lined the streets from side to side. Then, when the lawyer read her will, well, I really filled with pride. He handed me a little box from she who had just died. I took it home to open it. On the top it said, "With love, a last treat from my granny, now at peace in heaven above." To think that she had thought of me, I pressed it to my chest and wondered what she had left me now she'd gone to her final rest. A little tear came in my eye as I opened her last treat, and then I saw them resting there, looking all clean and neat. Now I'll never forget her happy smile, with a heart of gold beneath, and I'll think of her every time I see my granny's old false teeth. There you are. Now you can see why the children weren't amused. I sincerely hope you enjoyed that. Tales from the Jails. Don't forget to have a look at that little video or link I've put on this page here, and you can see the IRA parading up and down. It wouldn't have happened if they'd let me search the cells, but they wouldn't. We'll meet again.